Welcome, everyone. Lake Lewis Show here on Sports Journey Media. Great show coming up for you today. We have a former NFL player and NFL analyst, Phillip Daniels, joining us on our Sports Journey line. And we also have sports agent Jesse White, who comes in weekly with us. We'll break down a lot of things. As you can see on our board right now, as far as topic matter, we were going to start talking about the NBA first, but we're going to mix it up. We're going to actually get into the NFL free agency because I have Phil on with Jesse and me, and just, find out his thoughts on some of the free agent signings that are happening. Before we start breaking down other teams, I want to talk about a team that's near and dear to him, the Washington Redskins, a team that he played with for several seasons and also was in the front office just a few short years ago. This is a team that had a lot of holes that I thought that they needed to fill with their free agent money. And, yeah, they re-signed some of their own players, Brian Orakpo, Chris Baker, D'Angelo Hall. But I don't see this team going out and making the splash that, let's face it, fans don't want them making splashes all the time. But if there ever was a year to do it, it was this year because you had holes you needed to address. And I don't know if the Redskins have addressed some of those holes with some of the signings that they have, which appear to me, Phil, to be role players. Is that just me reaching here, or is that something you're seeing as well?
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think most of these guys that they're bringing in right now are definitely brought in for depth to help the guys out, help the team out for building some depth down in those positions. When you look at some of the signings they're doing right now, I just don't see a guy that can come in and make a difference right now, to make a difference on the field. Because when you're a team that's as bad as the Redskins are right now, you will hope that they go out and make a splash and get at least a couple of guys that can come in right now and make that difference. I saw that they signed Tracy Porter recently, and I think he can come in and help them out in some ways. But at the same time, I just don't. You look at all the guys that's going to other teams right now. You would think that the Redskins would be in play for some of those guys, but it just hadn't happened. And you hope the Redskins. I hope they got a plan, and maybe they got a plan later on. Of course, there is free agency. Toward the end, you get bargain deals, and then June 1st. June 1st is the time that you can go out and get some guys also. So hopefully they got a plan. But right now, I don't see this team any better than it was before with the moves they've made.
Yeah, and I understand. They signed a young guy, Andre Roberts, wide receiver from the Arizona Cardinals, and he was a young player that I thought had a lot of potential. I know he was coming off an injury last year, but he's a guy I think in his best year there had like 57 catches, and he's a slot guy. And that would appear to have been a position of need for the Redskins. However, you sign this guy, and then you re-sign Santana Moss. Again, that to me wasn't the most glaring deficiency on the wide receiving core. To me, it's who's your number two. Is that something that maybe they're going to address via the draft? I know there's some great guys coming out, Mike Evans, Kelvin Benjamin from Florida State, Allen Robinson, the kid Brandon Cooks. So there's a lot of great, Sammy Watkins, a lot of great receivers. I just don't know if the Redskins, have a plan in place. And, you don't want to be cynical and say that we've seen this story before. But I don't know here, Phil. I mean, is it just me, Jesse? You're sitting here. What do you think? I mean, do you think that there's a plan in place with this team right now?
It doesn't seem like it. In my mind, their biggest hole they had was at safety. And I haven't heard anything about any safety even mention the Redskins in the least.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of disappointed about that. There are some big-name safeties out there I really thought Redskins would be in play with.
Yeah, I know, Phil, we've talked off the air about it. This is the team that, the personnel on the team. Are you surprised at the safety position, knowing how porous it was last year? Are you surprised that wasn't the first thing that was addressed after you re-signed, your own players?
Yeah, I am. Actually, I thought that was going to be the first position they addressed. I know they got Browner coming in from Seattle sometime this week, or maybe he's there now. But at the same time, I thought safety was the spot that you needed the most, and that you addressed that first. But and I like the fact that they go out and they went out and signed their own players. Those guys deserve to be there. Some of those guys play well in the system. You got to keep those guys. But yeah, definitely. You looked at this team last year. Safety was the spot that hurt them the most. And I know they got some young guys back there, some draft picks back there that they probably got them in the plans and everything. But you definitely got to go out and get that guy that make a difference right now. Because those young guys it's gonna take them a few years to get back get out there and learn the system and do the things they need to do to help this team win. But when you get a veteran guy coming there, he can kind of help those guys along, teach those guys some little tricks and trades of playing safety, and they'll be a better team. But right now, they need that veteran leader that's going to come out there and just help get this team and put them where they need to be, so that when they step on the field, that first game, they'll have no worries, no doubts. Because last year there was a lot of doubts. So they had the young guys stepped in there. Bakari Rambo had to step in there, and then they had an injury to the other young guys. So I mean, you just got to have a veteran safety back there that can actually help them get to where they need to be, at least for a year or so, and then go from there.
Folks, right now, Phillip Daniels joins us from Chicago, Illinois, snowy Chicago. Heard that you guys got hit again. He's up there doing a great job. Our new NFL analyst here on Sports Journey, and excited about his knowledge of the game. Played 15, 16 years in the NFL. This guy knows what he's talking about. Also have sports agent, our agent here at Sports Journey, Jesse White, joining us, breaking down NFL free agency. Right now, we're talking Redskins free agency. One of the questions I have is you mentioned this. Browner comes in a little bit later on, maybe tomorrow, from Seattle to visit. But he's a cornerback, and he's also a guy, Brandon Browner, who's going to have to deal a 4-game suspension, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he does.
You just signed Tracy Porter,
that's the thing, when you get a guy like that, you can get a good bargain on him because he's got a 4-game suspension. A lot of teams are not going to touch a guy like that. So that's a bargain deal right there. You can get him in and get him signed. Most teams will take that 4-game suspension and run with it because, you get him at a cheap price.
Yeah, but the problem is you just signed Tracy Porter. So
yeah, exactly. But, somebody's going. I don't know. Maybe they're looking at him at a different position. I mean, some corners are big enough to go back and play safety. Some players can play both spots. So maybe they're looking at him at a different position. I don't know what their plan is there, but I know that he was coming in for a visit, and maybe they signed Tracy Porter. Maybe they don't bring him in. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the problem I have with that is this team isn't in a position to try projects. No offense to Brandon Browner, but he was a pretty good corner in Seattle. Fell out of favor somehow, and they're letting him walk. But my thing is, the Redskins' defense was so bad in that secondary last year. You can't afford to put a guy in a position that he's never played. I mean, unless this guy played it in high school, played it in his first year in college, and he's familiar with it, I don't know. Or maybe he wanted to play it and Cam Chancellor's too good for him. Earl Thomas too good for him to crack that, in Seattle. I'm a little concerned here, guys. There's something, and we're not trying to be critical here. We want the team to be successful, do the right things. Again, the Redskins have never shown me a penchant to have their scouting be accurate. And I'm just telling the truth. I'm not saying anything differently that somebody in New York would be telling you, someone in Los Angeles would be telling you. This is a universal consented belief about the Washington Redskins, Phillip. Even when you were there, I used to tell you this. People did not think the Redskins scouting department was the strongest in the league. And now when you see these moves being made, unless this may be why I'm sitting here on a microphone and not over at Redskins Park, I don't get it. I'm at a loss for words here. Jesse, real quick before we go into some of these other teams, are you comfortable with any of the moves made?
So far, no. I wouldn't mind if Browner came in. If you could get him signed for very little guaranteed money and could have it on a lot of incentive base, he could be a very good deal. And heck, back there at safety, how much worse could it be?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, yeah, you can't really get any worse, folks.
Let me say this though, when you're going out shopping for bargains, sometimes that's just what you get, a bargain. You don't expect much out of it. So you know what I'm saying. So you definitely got to look at it that way. And the Redskins just got to they got to go out and get a couple of big name guys, so guys that got a little. That you heard of in the league that done some things and done some great things, and put them on that defense to help that defense out. Because right now, it's just I don't know which direction they're going, and the thing is, I know they're getting a lot of bargains, but like I said, sometimes that's just what you get.
Well, the problem is, again, the Redskins always sell their fans, something really good in the offseason. Sell it to them all the time. And the fans here, being one of the strongest fan bases in all of sports, believe it most of the time, or they believe that there's hope around the corner. This is the problem that I don't want to hear this time. This team is a year removed from winning their division. I don't want to hear it takes time, because Bruce Arians did not say that when he went to the Cardinals, and they were a team that was 11-5 this year. Should have been in the playoffs. I don't want to hear that. You have Chuck Pagano, go up to the Indianapolis Colts, and instantly they're right there, and they had the number 1 pick in the draft, which normally means your team was junk the year before. They make the playoffs 2 years in a row. This is
Kansas City comes to mind.
Kansas City comes to mind. I don't want to hear that it takes time when your team has some talent in place, because these moves that are being made, these are a lot of players, Phil. I mean, they're signing a lot of guys. I think we're at, number 7 right now, and I can't name one, maybe Andre Roberts, okay, but I can't name one that's a tremendous difference maker right now.
Yeah, I think Andre Ross was the best pick that they've made so far, and I think he's going to come in and help this team out a lot on offense. But offense ain't the problem, defense the problem. I see a lot of D-linemen coming in there right now, but the problem was in the secondary. The corners and the safeties. That's where you got to address, and you got to work on that first.
Yeah, and you also need another middle linebacker. I mean, I understand Adam Hayward, a guy that I'm very familiar with, was going to do some stuff with him while I was in Tampa. He's a tremendous special teams player. Basically, what you did there was you covered up the gaffe you made last year and letting Lorenzo Alexander walk. We understand that you need that. So yeah, kudos to them for shoring up their special teams. But I thought, I've been covering this for a long time, been doing this for 20 years, and I was under the impression that special teams guys were guys that you went and got after June 1st. Those are guys that you got when guys got cut in preseason from other teams that you brought on your team. Not to make your splash in your first or second day of free agency. That's lunacy right there.
That's true, man, and I really don't understand that there. I just know that your guys that you sign early in free agency are guys that got to come in and make a difference. I remember when I became a free agent and went to Chicago, they didn't let me leave the room till I signed. You know what I'm saying? But I was one of the top guys on their board, and they wanted to get me there. So I just don't see that with the Redskins right now. I don't see them bringing in guys. The first few days, I just see them bringing in guys that say, I'm not going to let you leave the room till you sign. You know what I'm saying?
Well, what they do?
Made a difference for our team.
What they do? They kind of like lock the door on you, like you were like in a timeshare. You know how when you go visit those timeshares, they shut the door on you and put the heat on you. Was that what it was like?
No, they just don't let you leave, man. They say, we're going to get this done. You're not leaving until we get this done, Yeah. And I've heard of guys, just having to leave, just take off and jump in a limo or jump in a cab just to get away to get back to the airport and sign with another team. But, Chicago would definitely not let me leave here without a contract. So that's how most teams do it.
Wasn't that done yesterday? Wasn't the kid Corey Graham? Didn't he leave Redskins Park and sign with Buffalo?
He did. And I don't know. I just found that.
Wow.
He didn't sign for a whole lot. I don't know. I just think
they have to have a plan. They have to not to shred these guys apart out of Redskins Park. They have to. They have to have a plan.
They got to have a plan, or they just looking for bargain prices, because you don't let a guy that you bring to that facility leave without working out something or getting close. Maybe they got close and Buffalo beat them out, but at the same time, most times you come into that facility, if they really want you, they're not letting you leave.
Right. Folks, we got a lot of stuff we'll be talking about in today's show. Want to let everyone know, quick programming announcement tomorrow here on the show, live. You can check it out live again from sportsjourney.com. At 3:20 tomorrow, we're going to have NBA guy Keon Dooling joining us. And then also at 4:20, we'll have boxing analyst Rich Quinones joining us to remember. So that'll be at 3:20 and 4:20 in tomorrow's programming. Also, we want to let everyone know that we're excited to announce that we've linked up with Coca-Cola, and Coca-Cola will, be official presenting sponsor for our up-and-coming event that we'll be having here in Ashburn, Virginia, coming up on April 11th, Friday, April 11th, our literacy awareness program. And it's a good event to be part of, helping young kids, abused kids, understand that there are people out there to care for them, and people will be providing books as well. So big deal. We'll be having that literally right up the road here in Ashburn from Virginia Academy, and a former teammate of yours at Virginia Academy, doing some great things there with the athletic program, Antoine Randall L. He's actually helping us put that together as well. So we're excited about that. Coca-Cola presenting that for Sports Journey Media. Right now, Phillip Daniels, NFL analyst, right here on Sports Journey, former NFL player. Jesse White, our sports agent, breaking down free agency. So let's talk about some of the other teams, guys. And you look at a team like the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that won the division last year, and just seems like they have so much upside. They found their quarterback of the future literally in the season. Nick Foles had a great season. And you look at everything they have, and they had some holes on defense they wanted to shore up, so they went out, got themselves a nice corner guy that can move around, maybe even to a safety in Malcolm Jenkins. But today, they went and made the move to me that solidifies them as a dangerous playoff team that may think that they have a chance to try to take that next step and be in the same breath with Seattle, same breath as San Francisco. I'm not sure if they're there yet. But Darren Sproles, guys, that's a big move. It takes the ball out of Shady McCoy's hands all the time, allows him to catch his breath too. They still have Bryce Brown. So now they have 3 running backs, and all of them multifaceted. Listen, that's a great move. I'm going to let you take that one first, Jesse.
Yeah, that offense is scary now. When you add Sproles back there, very similar to McCoy, you don't really miss a whole lot when you switch them in and out. I don't know on their offense where their weakness is anymore. Foles can't run too fast. I suppose that's really the biggest qualm I would have. But aside from that, I don't know where they're weak on offense. You could switch McCoy in and out, have him fresh at the end of the year. That's a dangerous offense.
And you know what, Phillip? Think about this too. You have Jeremy Maclin coming back this year. You know that's the reason why they let Jason Avant go. You have Jeremy Maclin coming back, who, for my money, was always their best receiver before he got hurt. You re-sign Riley Cooper. Philadelphia looks pretty darn scary right now. I agree with Jesse on that.
Oh, they do. They're on their way. And like I say, you playing against a team like that, offense like that, you got running backs that's coming in and all of them are good. There's no break for you. You got to go and play hard every play, or you can hit the head on the goalpost. So I thought it was a great move by them today, and making that trade and getting the running back that they wanted. To give the guys a break that they had already. Now they already had good running backs. You already know Shady McCoy was one of the best running backs in the league. Now you think about you bring in guys that can steal him now, and they can do different things and get on the edge and spread that offense out even more. So they're a dangerous team right now. And I just think, the NFC East got to look out for Philly, because Philly's coming.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the teams that have made moves, Philly jumps up, but clearly, without question, the Denver Broncos. And I know Jesse's going to sit here and gloat, Phil, because he's a Peyton Manning fan and he's a Broncos. I think he respects them a lot, which we all do, but I think he kind of likes them. What they've done by going out and getting a TJ Ward, by going out and getting Aqib Talib, by going out and getting DeMarcus Ware, their defense was already good. It's just that they played against a great defense in the Super Bowl. Well, right now, I would have to say on paper, they've put their defense in the top 5 of the league on paper. And with everything, if it can mesh together, they're going to have an opportunity to be really dangerous. I've already said this. Count it right now, guys. You heard it right here first, right here on the Lake Lewis Show at what time is it here? At 5:35. You heard me say right here that the Super Bowl in Arizona this year will be a repeat of last year's Super Bowl, Denver versus Seattle.
Yeah, they've made some great adjustments this offseason already. It makes you wonder what Washington's doing when Denver can bring these guys in. And now, I don't think the loss of Eric Decker is that huge of a deal for Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. You see the people that come in and out of his systems. A lot of receivers have been, I don't want to say replaceable, but whoever steps into that system usually plays well. So I think focusing on defense was a really great idea for Denver and number one priority. And I think they're doing a great job. Yeah,
I mean, it's, Phillip, we talked about it as well. What they're doing. They had some holes, and they went right after the holes. They didn't sign a backup quarterback. They didn't go out and get a 4th wide receiver. They went out and addressed the holes, the glaring holes, and they spent money to do it. But clearly today there's an upgrade on that defense as opposed to what it was 2-3 days ago.
Yeah, actually, Denver put the blueprint out on how you go into free agency. you address those needs and those holes that hurt you last year. We watched that Super Bowl. We watched the games that they played last year. And, the secondary, there was some holes back there, Of course, Champ was older. It seemed like he couldn't keep up with the receivers like he used to. And then you had some other holes, other guys back there that just didn't work out. So they go out and get Aqib Talib and add him to the picture, and he's going to solidify that big time. If he can take for them to let everybody else roam the field, that's going to be big for them. T.J. Ward, just the guys they brought in, man. I just think they did a great job of filling needs on defense. They knew where their weaknesses were. They knew the offense was straight, so they didn't have to mess with it too much. And they just went right after defensive players, And it's just going to be awesome to watch them go out and perform next year. DeMarcus Ware added to that pass rush. They got 2 great pass rushers now, so it's going to be tough on teams. Actually, what they did is they played Seattle. They saw what Seattle had and what they needed, and they wanted to be just like Seattle. We're going to build this up. So next year we'll be able to compete with a team like that, and we won't get blown out in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Folks, real quick before we go to break, commercial break here, you look across the league, you look at the landscape, and you see, Aqib Talib leaves New England. So naturally you think that weakens New England and makes Denver better, but not so fast, because New England counters that by signing Darrelle Revis, who actually may be an upgrade from Aqib Talib when healthy. We know that. So now New England gets even better. And let's face it, when you sign a guy like a Darrelle Revis, it's going to open the door for some other defensive players to want to follow suit and go up there, because now they don't see the step off or the fall off of New England. And to me, guys, it's just amazing, because these are the premier, organizations in the league. These are the teams that are, if they're not in the playoffs, something's going wrong there. There's going to be a rebellion somewhere. And it just, to me, again, to see them go out and sign the best players, which means that they're still going to be the best teams. I don't want to keep bringing the Redskins up here, but again, I'm curious. I really am curious as to what is going on. It's almost like there's a point being proven here that we're not going to make the big splash. We've learned our lessons from that before. This is a different year, different time, different era, different team needs. Again, the best teams have gone out and they've made moves and they've gone and solidified their holes. The Cowboys, they went out and cut DeMarcus Ware, who's a fan favorite, a Cowboy, guy that's going to garner some Hall of Fame votes. They made a harsh move, but I'm sure they need the cap money. We know that. I'm sure they're looking to fill a hole here. So, again, lots of stuff going on in the NFL. So many other players that are still out there looking for jobs. Steve Smith cutting in Carolina, perhaps the face of their franchise. I think if you would ask someone who's the face of Carolina Panthers football ever, they're going to tell you it's Steve Smith. You look at the New York Giants. They got rid of Hakeem Nicks. So it just seems like teams that are used to, being in the playoffs, the Panthers were in the playoffs this year, it's like they get it. So I'm surprised at some teams, and I'm not surprised by others. So, look, we're going to take a quick break. And, Phillip, as always, you came in, did a great job. I know we had Jesse with us as well, so we had like 3-man team working here. Phillip is our new NFL analyst. And real quick, before we go to break, Phil, what can you tell fans out there that are watching this as far as how you will attack, providing coverage as far as a former NFL player?
Well, for me, I just know positions. I know our guys what they should be doing on the field. My thing is to go out and when I watch games, mostly I watch the defensive line, I watch the O-linemen, and then the secondary, and then from there. But I always key in on the guys up front. That's where it all starts. And then after that, then you go from there. But I just want to, my thing is I played 15 years. I've seen everything. I know defenses, fronts, coverages, all that stuff. I know, and I know our guys what they should be doing when they should be doing it. And a lot of times, you're talking to fans, they don't really know the game like that. There's no touchdown, there's no score, they know that kind of stuff. But, my thing is, I want to be able to kind of, help fans out. And, like, when something happened on the field, let them know why it happened,
Right.
Why did this go wrong? What went wrong here? And actually, I got a Facebook page Redskin page, actually, and I go on there sometimes to tell them what happened on certain plays and who was at fault on that play. And I can see that, and for a fan, they might not know. They might not know this guy was wrong, on that play or out of position on that play. So that's what I'm going to do, I'm going to let the people know that this is what happened, and this is who's at fault. Not to point the finger, but even those guys know too. When they get in that film room, they know who's at fault. I know a lot of times, you just got to take credit for it. It's football. It happens. You're going to get out of position sometimes. You're going to get beat sometimes. You got to come back and punch a little bit harder next time, and that's what you got to do. And I know a lot of times I went in the film room and I was like, I was wrong on that play, but that won't happen again. And that's how you got to be as a football player. But as an analyst, that's what you want to do. You want people to know what happened on that play and how they can correct it.
Well, just like I told Jesse long time ago, making the transition to get some TV time, get some air time, you got to say the hard things. Sometimes fans, who we appreciate first and foremost, fans make the programs. But at the end of the day, you're right. Sometimes fans don't see things. But I've told Jesse the same thing. I'll tell you right now in front of, thousands of people, millions of people that listen. You have to make sure that when it's time to even maybe go after the team that you played for and have a tremendous relationship with, you got to do it. And it's hard, but I think I already got you guys started today. I saw that coming a little bit on this free agency. So look, folks, we'll take a quick break. And when we come back, Jesse and myself still will be here. We'll, talk a little bit more. We got March Madness. There was a huge upset today. Do you guys know who got knocked off today? I'm here to tell you. Well, no, you got to wait till we come back. Big time upset today. College basketball, Sports Journey Media, right here. Myself, Lake Lewis Show. Hang tight, everyone.
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense, a divorce, a business loss, or even helping a family member or friend in need. At Consolidated Credit, we understand that debt problems are not about overspending. It's about emergencies and unexpected situations. Consolidated Credit has helped over 5 million people, just like you. The options for getting out of debt have never been better. We can reduce your interest rates, cut your monthly payments, and help you get out of debt fast. The time to call Consolidated Credit is now. There are a lot of ways to get into trouble with debt. There's only one trusted way to get out: Consolidated Credit. When debt is the problem, we're the solution.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-6016. That's 1-800-426-6016. Call now.
Medical emergencies.
This is Life Alert. Are you okay?
I've fallen and I can't get up.
I'm calling for help right now. Sharon, we received a smoke signal coming from your kitchen. Get out now. We're calling the fire department.
Home invasion. Emergencies away from home.
I'm trying to get to my car, but it's still a ways away.
I'm right here and we'll stay on the line with you and we can contact the police if necessary.
And you can have this protection away from home for just $19.95 per month.
If it weren't for Life Alert, I wouldn't be sitting here today.
Life Alert saves a life from a catastrophe every 11 minutes.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-830-1951. That's 1-800-830-1951. Call now, 1-800-830-1951. For a free brochure, call 1-800-830-1951.
Welcome to Hooters. Right this way. Wednesday is Wings Day at Hooters. Get 10 boneless wings and fries for just $6.99.
Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Are you worried about home foreclosure? Does it seem like the bank has no interest in helping you save your home and there is nowhere to turn? Then the Homeowners Relief Line could be your answer. Homeowners Relief Line can help save your home. We specialize in foreclosure assistance, and that's all we do. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Homeowners Relief Line now. Homeowners Relief Line has a network of attorneys, and our agents are available to speak to you right away. Remember, if you are behind on your mortgage payments, Homeowners Relief Line can help stop the foreclosure process. Call today before it is too late. New laws are in effect that may save your home. So call Homeowners Relief Line now.
Call 800-749-8070. That's 800-749-8070.
NCAA women's basketball. All day, every day, our game. Filling it up, knocking them down, and bringing it home. It's basketball at its purest. For family fun and great entertainment, there's nothing like it. NCAA women's basketball. All day, every day, our game.
All right, folks, welcome back here. Lake Lewis Show here on Sports Journey Media. Appreciate Phillip Daniels for joining us just now, doing a great job breaking down, NFL free agency. We're also joined here by sports agent. We don't want to call him super sports agent, not just yet, but sports agent, Jesse White. And Jesse, when you listen to Phil, talk about some of this stuff, clearly you can see that the guy knows what he's talking about, and his sentiments were very similar to ours. It's just no coincidence that the best teams continue to do the right things. It's no coincidence why they're good.
No, but I also think that it's a lot of players want to win. That's simple. So if you get an offer from a top team, why wouldn't you want to go play for a Super Bowl contender instead of coming to Washington, for example, or coming to Cleveland, for example? There's a lot of different places that why would you want to go to them if you had an opportunity to play for Denver, New England? It just makes sense.
It does. It really does. And, folks, we're going to switch some gears here. We talked about a major upset that was in college basketball today, and you saw Villanova losing to Seton Hall. Maybe across the country this is an upset. But remember, this is still the Big East. I understand it's kind of like the Big East 2 because, you lose a Syracuse, you lose a Pitt, you lose some of the teams that help, springboard that conference to be dominant over, the last 2 decades. However, Seton Hall is not a program that doesn't have history themselves. They're a team that played in the national championship, PJ Carlesimo, and naturally they've played and beaten Villanova many times before. Is it a shocker on this scale? Maybe so, because it's the start of your tournament. Villanova was a number 1 seed in the Big East, but I'm not looking at this as a supreme shocker. This is different from, if you're a number 1 seed and an established, and it's hard to say this because you think, the Big East is established. Well, this is different. This is a new version of the Big East. You add Creighton in there, you bring Butler in there. So it's a new version of it. It's kind of like a first year league, which it is, a new baby. But this isn't like, the worst seed in the ACC, beating right now Virginia or beating Duke or beating Carolina right off the bat. No, this is a little different. So Jesse, my question to you is, even when I mentioned it to you off the air, you didn't seem that surprised by it.
No, it's surprising to a point because you have Villanova who's gearing up for the NCAA tournament. But you see this happen a lot where maybe they got a little too hyped, looking forward a little too much to the tournament and just overlook somebody. And in big tournaments, big conferences, I should say, Big East, ACC, SEC, any of these big conferences, if you overlook a team, no matter how bad record-wise they may be, they can get you.
Yeah, you're gonna be had.
Yeah.
One of the questions we have on our board here is NCAA March Madness hype. Do you still get excited for the NCAA tournament or maybe even the conference tournaments to start?
I don't know that I'd say excited. I look forward to especially the first 2 days of the NCAA tournament when you just have games all day long. You have all the scores up. You have 4 games going at a time. I always love that. It's great. I don't know if I get excited anymore. I don't even know who's in what conference anymore. It makes it hard. Every year now, you have 2-3 teams jumping conferences.
Yeah.
Next year, we were talking about Maryland jumping to the Big Ten. You talk about Louisville coming to the ACC next year. You just lose track of where teams are. Butler to the Big East.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, you kind of lose a little bit of the excitement because you don't see those rivalries that you used to see. The teams are just gone. The game's changed a lot in the last few years, and it makes it a little tough to be as excited. I just love the quantity of games. That is exciting to me.
Well, I will say this. You said Maryland's jumping to the Big Ten next year. How about Maryland's getting jumped into the Big Ten next year? So whole nother joke there. I actually think Maryland's going to add great value basketball-wise to that conference, because they do have a great history basketball-wise. Football, there's some history there. They had a nice run in the 80s, and, I know back in the 50s, way before any of our time, they were a dominant football team. But, for them to go into the Big Ten and have to compete against, the Ohio States and Michigans, and I've said this for anyone that's a Big Ten fan. Obviously, that's, myself, having come from Penn State. You look at the division that is set up football-wise for the Big Ten. Football and basketball next year, they're going to have a division, which is it's the East Division, and the teams that encompass the East Division happen to be newly Rutgers, Maryland, Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State.
Kind of loaded half of the conference.
I mean, are you kidding me? That's murderer's row right there. I don't care if it's field hockey. If you're no good, you're gonna be had. Yeah. And I understand Big Ten really wanted to continue the Michigan Ohio State rivalry. I get that, but when you're bringing in pretty much your four breadwinners. Nebraska is I'm sure tradition wise they're doing well, but they don't compete financially, against Ohio State and Penn State and Michigan. Not even close. Don't fool yourself, even if you're a Nebraska fan. I'm not talking about from the value on your field as far as the product. I'm talking about the money that's generated. Mm-hmm. I'm just shocked that the Big Ten would do this. And I know people said it makes sense because they put all 7 of those teams in that division as far as they're in the same Eastern time zone. And yeah, I get that. But you can't have your best teams beat up on each other before they even get to their conference championship game.
No, if you want to have rivalries stick around, that's fine. Look what the ACC did with FSU and Miami. Mm-hmm. They're in opposite divisions, but they still play every year.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And I thought the Big Ten kind of spited themselves. What's the saying, Jesse? Something you spite your face to, spite your nose to something your face, whatever. One of these old stupid sayings. But anyway, the problem is, you could have had Michigan, Ohio State twice.
Yeah.
You could have had them in a regular season game where they have to play each other. And then you could have had them again come, Big Ten championship game. And that would have made a lot more money, too. So, again, just, I'm not trying to be negative today, folks. Not trying to come on and vent all day. But I still scratch my head with some of this stuff that's going on. So March Madness is here. You got conference games. Your FSU team, they beat Maryland today, 67-65. I think this kills Maryland's chances of making the tournament. I truly feel like that. I don't know if it helps Florida State's chances at all. A win's a win.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, but they beat a team that wasn't that consistent this year. I'm not saying Maryland was bad. They just weren't consistent.
It puts them in a position though where they get UVA, and if they can beat Virginia, who's a strong team coming off a loss, granted, so who knows? Maybe their little magical run has ended a little bit. So if they can beat UVA, a team that beat Florida State twice in the season, then Florida State's back in the conversation because then they get another quality win. They had beat VCU earlier in the year, played Michigan tight down into overtime. They have a couple good wins down the road there. Throw in a UVA, they could be in okay position, but it didn't hurt. It's not going to put them in the tournament, though.
Are you? Do you look at Virginia and do you say to yourself that Virginia is – it's hard for me to say this. That team lost one time in the regular season. I'm sorry, twice because they lost to Maryland
they lost to
on Sunday.
Oh, you're talking about conference.
Yeah, okay. in conference. But you look at this team, any year you have a 1 or 2 loss team in regular season play out of the ACC, they're a lock to be a number 1 seed. I don't know if Virginia were to lose before, say, the finals of the ACC tournament, they could even be a 3 seed. That's how disrespectful they've been as far as how they've been viewed this year. I don't think they've beaten a ranked team all year, and to me, I think that's been the problem.
And they have a couple bad losses. When you go back, they lost to Green Bay.
Yeah.
That's not. I don't even know what to say about that. Green Bay, they have a good record. They probably will make the tournament.
Yeah.
It's Green Bay.
Yeah.
You're UVA. You do not lose to Green Bay unless you're talking football and it's the Packers. It does not happen. That's inexcusable. I think that's what's going to knock them down.
Well, I will say this, having known my history, Wisconsin Green Bay is actually where Tony Bennett, who's the coach there at Virginia now, that's actually where he and his father came from. So they're, they got up for that. Maybe he did his old school favor and kind of helped their recruiting just a little bit. Slide me a little bit, and I help you get a W. I'm just playing, folks. Please don't take that and run with it. But those kids clearly got up for Virginia in that game.
Yeah.
I don't know if this year. There are a couple teams, and I haven't watched as much college basketball this year as I've normally done. When you start to venture off into other things as far as other parts of media, and you have a 6-year-old as well. Sometimes things are a little different at night when you sit back and watch those games. Jesse, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I haven't watched as much. But the teams that I've seen that I think are really good, I think Arizona is really good.
Oh, yeah.
I think Wichita State, Greg Marshall. They're just, listen, if you haven't seen the Shockers, you're going to be shocked when you watch them. They're a that was nice. I like that. They were really good. They're a very good team. And a lot of people, if you're not a diehard college basketball fan, you don't realize that Wichita State, the Shockers were in the Final Four last year and gave Louisville all they could handle en route to Louisville winning the championship. So are you surprised that, where they are right now? They're number 2. I don't think anyone wanted to ever give them the number 1 ranking this year because of their schedule's not that strong, let's be honest. But they're a lock to be a number 1 seed.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're going to be a number 1 seed. I'm surprised where they are in that I don't think you could ever predict someone going undefeated.
Yeah.
I think you're insane if you tell me that you picked them to go undefeated
regardless of the conference they play in.
Right. It makes no difference. To be up for every game, every night, that's tough to do. Great coaching out there. My only concern is the lack of quality opponents. They haven't played a top 25 team all season.
Yeah.
They're obviously it's a very talented team, great team, but what happens first time they get adversity against a strong team, say a Duke, say an Ohio State, Michigan? That's my concern with them, is not being battle tested.
Yeah, what happens if you just said you're playing a great team and a team that may get some calls. I don't want to use the word preferential, but you preferential with a capital P.
Right. Yep.
Sometimes those teams do get calls. How do you respond? I do think that they do have, obviously, like I said, they were in the Final Four last year. They do have that going for them, so it's not like they've never been on the big stage. And if I'm not mistaken, I think like 80% of that team returned this year. That's why they're so good this year. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see, where they're seated. Are they going to be in a seed with a Kansas, or they're going to be in a seed, with a team that has some weapons, like a Syracuse or something like that. Mm-hmm. That'll be interesting to see how they respond when they look across and they see a jersey that's bigger than theirs that they're playing against. So I'm going to be interested to see that. Right now, folks, I'll just give you some quick updates. Second quarter, you have or second half, I'm sorry, you have Arkansas up 1 on South Carolina, 47-46. You have Old Dominion's trailing right now, and that's a little bit of a shocker for them in their opening round game. You see some of these smaller schools. I mentioned ODU right here. Mm-hmm. Mount St. Mary's, they're already in. Yep. They win their conference tournament. And a team like that, you feel like it's a feel-good story. The question I have for you, Jesse, is in years past, those teams were going to be sacrificed for first game. Literally, you're sacrificed. Would you be surprised, though, if this was the first time, if we saw a 16 beat a number 1 this year? Do you think the day is drawing closer where we're seeing this?
It's more likely now than it used to be because the way scholarships have changed. Mm-hmm. Smaller schools have gotten a couple more scholarships. But to answer your question, no.
You just don't see it.
I do not see it happen. Pure statistics say it has to happen someday.
Yeah.
I don't know I just don't see it. You're talking about a Wichita State. You're talking about an Arizona losing to St. Mary, losing just to these bottom-rung 500 or sub-500 teams that have snuck into the tournament.
Dogging them. Gosh, you're dogging these guys.
Look, I couldn't play for them. They're better than me, but still, it's just, you're talking about players on a team playing against people who are basically on a high Division II level almost.
Hey, man, I'm just saying. I think that the day has gotten closer. Do I think a 16 will be the one? No, but I don't think the day of a 16 when they played the ones, the score was like 110 to 40. I don't think those are going to be, the situations anymore.
No.
I think you're going to start seeing competitive games, maybe even midway through the second, and then the wheels just fall off. And you're
20-point games.
Yeah, I was going to say you're seeing 15, 20-point wins.
Right.
Is there a possibility this year? Because I don't know if there's a juggernaut out there. I mean, like I said, Wichita State, Arizona, they're good teams, 1 and 2 in the country, respectively. I think a team like a Michigan State, a team that had some injuries this year, they're always a team, great coach team under Tom Izzo. They could find themselves. John Beilein up in Michigan's really turned around, the Wolverine program, and they're playing great ball, having won the Big Ten. I don't know if there's a clear-cut, just dominant. And I think last year, I thought Louisville was that good. I thought Louisville, had they not won the championship, the way they came into the tournament, the way they ran through the Big East tournament, you just knew that they were there. And every year there's a team that just finds themselves. I'm talking about a good team already that just takes it to a next level, and now they're great. I don't know if we have that this year. So, Jesse, maybe this is the year that a 16 beats a 1.
Well, the closest thing to that in my mind right now would be Michigan. They're playing very good basketball right now. I like what they're doing. But let me ask you this. We were talking about mid-majors coming into the segment here. What happens if Wichita State becomes the first number 1 seed to get beat by a 16? What then happens to the image?
Why go Wichita State? Is it because you still look at them as a mid-major?
Well, just asking the question, though, what happens to the national image of these conferences if you have a team go undefeated and they get knocked off by a 16 seed? Granted, it would be a fluke. They would beat the team 45 out of 46, just every time slaughter them. But what happens if they do get beat?
Yeah, I mean, they just go home.
They
go home to some mad fans. That's what's going to happen.
Well, just in the future, ranking purposes, think of what's going to happen to mid-majors if that were to happen. You could have a phenomenal season, lose 1 game, and be looking at a 4 or 5 seed.
Yeah, you could be. You could be.
That'd be rough. Just kind of throwing it out there. It'd be interesting if that happened.
You're not safe this year unless you have a 1 or 2 seed under your belt in the tournament, because if you're a 3 seed, you can be had by a 13. I mean, if you think about this, when I always say a 5 seed always gets knocked off by a 12. Every year you see that. Is there a chance this year? Is there hypothetically, or an 11 seed? Is there a hypothetical this year where maybe you don't see any 1 seeds in the Final Four?
Oh, it's very possible. I look at teams like Harvard. They don't play that many good teams.
That's a great analogy.
They always show up to that tournament, and they play very well. In these last few years, they've been a very tough out. I think they've only won 1 game the last 2 years, but they've been a tough out. They play some great defense, but they get overlooked because of their league. And I think that happens a lot, and you're going to have some of these teams really show up, and the ones are – they're very much in trouble, like we were talking about. There's no one team that's completely dominant.
Right now, for my money, and I apologize because I keep mentioning, Arizona, they're 4th ranked team in the country. Okay. I do think that Florida right now, I think Florida is clearly playing the best basketball in the country. That's why they're number 1. The way they've been steamrolling. I mean, they just steamrolled Kentucky last week. I understand that's a freshman-laden Kentucky team, but the last 4 or 5 freshman-laden Kentucky teams have been in national championship games. If you look at Florida, Billy Donovan, the job that he's done there, I mean, they're an elite basketball team right now, 29-2. and they have the inside-out game that I think is needed, where they're not dependent on one person. They almost, have a committee there where they have their core players, but they have it where if a guy gets hot, they're going to feed him the ball.
Right.
I don't know if there are a lot of teams out there that can mix and match with Florida just that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name, let's just say we name the top 10 teams, and you tell me which team you really can see getting picked off real quickly, okay? All right, so we'll start. What I'll do is I'll go 12 teams, okay? Because I do think that Syracuse at 11 and Wisconsin at 12 are dangerous basketball teams. But let's just say Wisconsin, could they be had early?
Yeah, they tend to play much more defensive type basketball.
Absolutely.
If you can find a little soft spot, get someone with a hot hand on the outside, they're beatable.
Yeah.
And with preface this, it's all matchups. You could be a much better team and get a bad matchup and be out. But yeah, Wisconsin's beatable.
Okay, Syracuse. Just a couple weeks ago, they were undefeated. People were talking about how great they were at number 1. They've fallen to number 11. 27-4. I think they're 1-3 in their last 4 games.
Yep.
To me, that's a dangerous basketball team.
They are, but when you lose to Boston College, you lose to Wake Forest, slaughter Florida State. I'll throw that in there. But beatable. It's when you're losing games like that, you're beatable. And I know injuries have come into play, but the psyche of that team doesn't seem like it's where it needs to be. They're beatable.
Okay. All right. We go up to Kansas, 23-8. They got a big win. It looks like if it's not over with, they're beating Oklahoma State today. They were up 7 last time I looked late in the game. Looks like they'll be moving on in the Big 12 tournament. Is Kansas a team that could be had early?
Short of a bad matchup, I don't see them being out early.
I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. This is the team that, to me, is the surprise. Not so much because of where they are, because they were great last year. I think Steve Fisher has gone there from Michigan and he's made San Diego State relevant. Let's just make a point there. They're 27-3 again, dominating their conference out on the West Coast. But again, you look at some of the, they've played a decent schedule, non-conference schedule.
Yeah.
Not the best, but not the worst either. Are they a team that could be had?
Anytime you come from a smaller conference,
yes,
you run that risk just due to the fact that you've gotten used to a certain level of competition through conference play.
Yeah.
That would be my main concern. If they get through a game or two, they are a very dangerous team if they can get used to that level of competition.
Yeah.
Which early in the season they had, but they just have to get back to that. If they can get through the first couple of rounds, very dangerous team, but they can be beat early.
All right, so moving on up the ladder here, we have Michigan. I no.
Yeah,
no.
They're the team I listed a little bit ago is a team that I thought is playing great basketball. I don't see them being knocked out early.
All right, they're 23-7. You go up, you have Duke. 24-7. I don't think this year's version of Duke would be had that quickly because they have some individual players that could will a game on you. Jabari Parker obviously being one.
They do. I don't know what it is about Duke. I'm slightly concerned about them right now, though. I will go out and say that I think they can be beat early. I think they're going to get a scare in the first 2 rounds.
Wow. Okay, maybe Belmont style. A couple years ago, it was Belmont literally had Duke, final possession, Belmont going for the win. That would have been catastrophic for the Dukies. Yeah. You have Virginia at number 6, 25-6. I think a team that's been under the radar, a team that plays some tremendous defense under Tony Bennett. And let's face it, Virginia's been down over the past few years, but this team had a better record than Ralph Sampson's teams at one point. Yeah. They're legit, but stepping away from Charlottesville is a little different. And I'm not sure they're the same team, even though their record shows they are. But when you have to step away and you may be, if you're a high seed, you may have to go west. That's a big difference now.
Yeah, and what concerns me about them is matchup. If they get a fast-paced team, they're going to lose the game. Even not-so-great fast-paced teams can beat UVA. They're a very good set defensive team, but you look at what VCU did to them earlier in the year.
Absolutely,
just
pushed it.
Ran the floor on them.
Maryland did it recently, too.
Yep.
Last week, they made sure that their guard, was literally in attack mode the whole game. And Tony Bennett himself said we have to work on that. Our transition D is not the best. So great call there, Jesse. You have Louisville. Louisville's that team that quietly had another Rick Pitino year. 26-5. Won the AAC. I have to make sure I remember that American Athletic Conference.
Yes,
It
brand new.
was garbage, ugly name. My gracious. Well, anyway, they win that 26-5. Is this a team that's primed to make another run, defend their title?
Yeah, I don't see them getting outed early. Whenever you have a defending champion, it's hard to mess with that psyche, especially when you have that chemistry going, great season going. I expect that they are at least Sweet 16 and on.
Okay, all right, and then we get to the final, 4 teams here. The top 4 teams on everyone's radar. We mentioned Arizona, 28-3. Just this is where your statement earlier makes sense now. You just look at these guys and you say, no, that's not going to happen.
Right.
However, we just saw it today, Jesse. Villanova, who's ranked number 3, 28-3, they get ousted by Seton Hall, first round of the Big East tournament. So if it's the tournament, I mean, they're still not, 64 spots lower than that.
Well, here's my concern with that, though. You have the NCAA tournament has rules in place, which are good, that separate conferences.
Sure.
You're not going to play someone in your conference until
who knows you and familiar.
Yeah, and so Seton Hall knows Villanova. They've played each other every year leading up to this. Their seniors know each other. Have played 4 times. The freshmen have at least played you once or twice in the season. It's different than when you go out and play a brand new team. And so conference tournaments are more prone to these upsets, in my opinion, than the actual tournament. I wouldn't be worried about Villanova in the NCAA.
All right, so the magic question. Florida, number 1, no, they're not getting bounced early.
No.
But Wichita State, undefeated, 34-0. You don't think the collar's a little tight around the neck right now with Greg Marshall's team?
No, there's no expectations on that team coming in. People like me are sitting here talking about how they're going to get bounced by the first good team they play. They have I don't think they have that pressure on them. If it was a big-name team, a Florida, a Louisville, any of these teams, yes, I think the pressure would be tough. Wichita State, no one's expecting them. Maybe I'm wrong, but not a lot of people, especially I know at least me, don't expect them to win the title. So where's the pressure on that? They just go out and get to play loose and free, and if they lose, well, they were supposed to lose. So where's the pressure with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think that when your championship game of your conference is against Indiana State. I mean, Larry, that's not Larry Bird's Indiana State.
Right.
I mean, come on. That's and this isn't a knock on Greg Marshall. Like I said, he's a great coach. He's a coach that a lot of big-time programs would love to have. He's showing loyalty to that school. But, you look at their last 4. Indiana State, Missouri State, Evansville, Missouri State. That doesn't really strike fear in your heart.
No, but what 8 or 9 seed's going to strike fear in your heart? They're going to be a 1 seed. They're going to play a 16, then an 8 or a 9, and you're in the Sweet 16. No matter who you are, if you make Sweet 16, that's a good year. So that's how I'm doing the bounced early, is if you're round of 32 or round of 64.
Yeah, I mean they've had some decent games. Indiana State, earlier in the year played them tough, 65-58. You had a game against Southern Illinois that for a while was a tight game. They ended up pulling away 70-67. So there's other games that they've played where people are going to use that magical question, Jesse. Are they battle tested? Have they played anybody? But they're going to use last year's experiences of having lost to defending champion Louisville in the Final Four. A lot of teams have never played in the Final Four, let alone, gotten to a Sweet 16,
Right.
So they've been there before. And I think that they'll look to last year's experiences as far as validating what they've done this year.
And it'll help them a lot. My concern is always when you play a good team, well, say you're playing a bad team and you get a little bit behind, okay, we'll just turn it on and we'll catch up and we'll get out here with a W. You play a good team that has a killer instinct, you get down on them, you're not coming back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference that I'd be concerned about, is if they get a little too comfortable with playing at a level that maybe isn't 100% every possession.
All right. Well, look, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have, one more lengthy segment, and we'll get out of here for today, abbreviated show. I want to let everyone know, remember, tomorrow right here on Lake Lewis Show, I'm going to have NBA player Keon Dooling joining us. And, I think Keon's at that point now where, he's getting ready to make that next transition into the next part of his life. And I know he's going to come on and talk about a great foundation that he's recently started, he and his wife. So we'll talk about that. Also, we're going to have Richard Quinones, Q Quinones, a person that's just been added to the staple here, to the group here at Sports Journey. Boxing analyst. He'll come on with us, and we'll talk about, Canelo Alvarez had a big win against Angulo, this past weekend, and in dominating fashion, 10th round TKO. We'll find out, Q's thoughts on him and what big fights are still yet to come up this year, and maybe what some of the fights, down the road in boxing. And I said last time he was on, the boxing's a little bit right now on life support, that, we just don't want anybody to pull the plug on it. We really want to give it a chance to get better, but we do need to see more prize fights and seeing the best guys go at it and not worry about their status and not worry about their rankings. Do you think I'm talking about Floyd Mayweather? No, I'm not, because I think he's the greatest of all time, but he doesn't have a fight left in him against anybody that's any good that can beat him. So we'll talk about all that stuff when we come back. Listen, Chicago, Derrick Rose, they're winning games without him. They just recently beat the defending champion Miami Heat. You also have the Houston Rockets playing some pretty good basketball as well. James Harden, Dwight Howard seems like he's happy where he is. So we're going to talk about this because I want to talk about a big hypothetical NBA trade with Jesse and myself when we come back. Hang tight, folks. You listen to the Lake Lewis Show.
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense, a divorce, a business loss, or even helping a family member or friend in need.
If you're disabled and unable to work, pay attention to the following message.
If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be entitled to disability benefits through Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right if you suffer from a physical or mental disability. Whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. You'll be matched up with an advocate who will evaluate your situation, handle your application, deal with Social Security for you, and handle all appeals. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. To get started, call the number on your screen now. And keep in mind, there are a vast number of conditions that make you eligible for disability benefits, and dozens of additions that you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call the Citizens Disability Helpline today for a free, no-obligation consultation.
Call 1-800-735-0219. Call now.
Imagine, with a simple push of a button, you could be on your way to getting firm, sculpted abs and a sexy waistline with the Contour Core Sculpting System. It's the breakthrough technology that requires no machines, no getting on the floor, no stress, and no strain.
Contour. The Contour is the real deal.
The secret is Contour's exclusive auto-active muscle toning technology, the digital breakthrough that automatically targets all your abdominal muscles, including your upper abs, lower abs, obliques, and even that stubborn lower belly. Thermographic testing proves Contour activates your entire core. The Contour Core Sculpting System comes with a one-size-fits-all Contour core belt, electronic controller with custom digital settings, batteries, and a 1-year warranty, plus an instructional guide and sensible eating plan. And it's all yours to try for 30 days for just $14.95. There's never been an easier, more effective way to get great-looking abs. So call and order right now.
Health insurance update. This just in for all uninsured Americans with or without pre-existing conditions. The recent health care bill will not take effect until at least 2014, leaving families and individuals lacking health insurance with no immediate solution to their concerns. Meanwhile, medical problems continue to be the #1 cause of bankruptcies. Here's the good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide affordable health insurance for all uninsured Americans, and yes, uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Call the number on your screen now, and in less than 10 minutes, you could receive a choice of affordable plans from the Hotline Network. This is not a discount card. You will have access to doctors, hospitals, dental care, infant care, and emergency services. Call the health insurance hotline now and get you and your family covered today.
Call 800-794-1817. That's 800-794-1817. Call now.
Are you stressed over credit cards and other debts?
maybe through no fault of your own? Imagine how it would feel to have that weight lifted right off your shoulders. Well, here's some good news from America's trusted name in debt relief. Care One providers have already helped over 4.5 million people in debt, and we can help you today. Just call this toll-free number to speak with a friendly representative, and in just minutes, you'll get your free debt relief analysis.
Regardless of your situation, Care One has an option for you.
We are there to help, and we do that in a way that's empathetic and supportive without judging their financial situation.
The credit card companies, I feel, are trying to keep you in debt and trying to keep it so you owe them money forever. And Care One is a good way to get you out of that and get you out of it fast.
A big burden was lifted off of my shoulders.
Care One threw me a lifeline. Call Care One. They will help you.
Get debt relief from a company you can trust. Just call the toll-free number today.
All right, folks, welcome back here, Lake Lewis Show. Final segment of today's show. We mentioned to you that it was going to be an abbreviated show today. I had Phillip Daniels, former NFL player, NFL analyst here with the network, joined us earlier. We have Jesse White, sports agent, joining me still. And we've been breaking down a lot of stuff. Jesse broke down some NCAA tournament just now. We've talked about the top free agents on the NFL market, and some moves that have been made today. Darren Sproles signing with the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, really strengthens that football team. We talked about locally here, right down the road from where the studio is. We talked about the Washington Redskins bringing in Tracy Porter, or what are they going to do with Brandon Browning in a couple days. So we'll have to see how all this stuff progresses over the next week or so, the free agency signing period. But right now, we're going to switch gears again. Still going to talk hoops, but now we're going to talk about the NBA. And there are a couple subjects that you see here in the window that I really have been wanting to break down for a couple of days here. I think Jesse definitely can help me with this. And, right now the Houston Rockets with James Harden and Dwight Howard, they're playing some pretty good basketball. I did watch last night San Antonio and Portland, and you saw two of the better teams in the West. San Antonio still a great team that they are. The question I have is, first and foremost, Jesse, do you think that Houston is starting to belong in the same sentence as San Antonio, Portland, maybe the Clippers?
They're in the conversation. I think whenever you have a run like Houston's had, you have to be in the conversation. It's just going to be interesting come postseason time, because the West is just a gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's going to be skill out the window, just who can grind better.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be 6-7 games every round. You're not talking about the East where you have a bye to the finals.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting because they have some thicker guys on the team. You look at Harden, you look at Howard, they're a little bit thicker. They may be able to take some more punishment over a 6-7 game series.
Yeah, Patrick Beverly gets in Russell Westbrook's head a little bit for OKC, another great team. I do think that the trade that was made for Dwight Howard, the free agent signing of him, obviously it had the whole, signing thing like LeBron did, and, where was he going to go? He wasn't happy with the Lakers last year, one and done there. I don't know if Dwight Howard has fallen out of grace with fans around the league, but when you start talking about the great players, the top players in the league, sometimes people forget that Dwight Howard's still a really good big man, perhaps maybe the greatest center in the game today, but for whatever reason, he doesn't come to the forefront of your mind. Is that just me, or is that you too?
Oh, this year he hasn't been there, but you know what? That's probably the greatest thing that could have happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been on the radar. You forget about him. He's having a good year, and you're not thinking about him. He's not out there because his image he's gotten is as almost a crybaby type player.
Yeah.
And him not being out in the media is fantastic for his image, that he's not out there in the forefront of everyone's minds. I think that's the greatest thing that could have happened for him.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many variables with this team that I think that they are a very good basketball team that could compete. Obviously, it starts with James Harden. If he's going from the perimeter, if you're getting Jeremy Lin hitting some shots out there as well, Houston has some pieces in place that I think that they're good enough to challenge some of the big teams. Are they good enough to win 3? Are they good enough to win 4 as you get into the later rounds? That's going to remain to be seen. Another subject that I really wanted to delve into here, and this might be 5-10 minutes here, folks. You have Chicago.
Yep.
Chicago Bulls are playing really good basketball. Tim Thibodeau or Tom Thibodeau, I'm sorry, you need to give him a lot of credit because of what he's doing as a coach. I mean, this guy came in from Boston Celtics, a couple years back and brought a toughness to Chicago. Just totally changed the dynamics of that team where you knew when you played the Bulls, you were going to get beat up that night. And, Joakim Noah and Boozer and those guys, they're still playing high effective basketball with the loss of getting rid of Luol Deng. Derrick Rose goes down earlier in the season with an injury. You're talking about 80% of your offense right there. And yet they're still winning. Jimmy Butler's playing great basketball. You have DJ Augustine playing great basketball at the point guard spot. They're really picking it up. And to my surprise, they're still right there as a 4 seed in the East. And they just recently beat Miami. Is this team better without Derrick Rose?
It's hard to say you're better having lost a superstar. They're winning games, but at least I forget sometimes. Rose, last season he played a whole season. He won the MVP. They were the 1 seed in the East. They were a very, very good team. I'm hard-pressed to say that they're better. They might be a better defensive team, and they're winning games by defense. I have a hard time saying their offense is better, though.
See, I just wonder, is the system that Thibodeau runs there, where it's a defensive-oriented system, doesn't matter who's playing. It doesn't matter what the pieces are because they're effective regardless. This is the hypothetical, though. You go over to OKC, go to the Western Conference. There's grumblings. I don't think the players themselves are saying it, but you hear fans grumbling and saying, hey, OKC doesn't look as vaunted with Russell Westbrook back, believe it or not. Kevin Durant was playing MVP basketball, was scoring 50 points, had like 3-4 straight 40-point games. And when Russell Westbrook comes back, he's a scorer. He's a guy that has the ball in his hands at first and foremost. So he may not share the ball as much. Doesn't need to. He's a great player. My question to you out there and to our viewers right now here on the Lake Lewis Show is, would you trade Derrick Rose for Russell Westbrook? And forget the injuries. I'm just saying if you know Derrick Rose can come back and be Derrick Rose, would you make that trade head up one-on-one because of the simple fact, in my opinion, is I think Derrick Rose would prefer to pass the ball first and shoot the ball first if he had a choice.
It depends on which side you're coming at from. I think from Chicago's standpoint, I think that they would do better having Russell Westbrook. From Oklahoma City's, I think you would wind up in pretty much the same situation. You may be right that maybe Rose would prefer to pass more, but he's still a superstar. He's still going to want the ball a lot, even if it's to pass it, but I think that will throw off Durant's rhythm. I think OKC will wind up in the same situation with either one of those two guys. I think Chicago would benefit from the trade, though.
You think Reggie Jackson could be your answer at point guard, and maybe you trade a Westbrook and you go after a center or maybe another wing player or something like that? It just seems to me that you cannot disrupt the flow of the offense just totally flowing through Kevin Durant. That's the problem in OKC.
What about Kawhi Leonard? Get him out there, get a shutdown defender to go along with Durant. You're not going to take away his offense, and you get a shutdown defender. And Durant's not a bad defender in his own right.
Yeah, San Antonio's not letting Kawhi Leonard
he's
leave.
not, but I'm saying if you could.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean that might be that type of trade that you make. I mean, there's other great players that are going to – this is a big free agent class coming up here. Yeah. Problem is, a lot of those guys are me shoot first guys, where you have, Carmelo Anthony, and obviously they have Phil Jackson coming in there now. He's not leaving. He wants to be part of that just because it's going to be a huge, when I say huge, capitalize the H-U-G-E on that up in New York City. Phil Jackson coming back to the Knicks, that's going to be huge. I go back to this trade, though. I think that if you look at the way the game's evolved, a lot of point guards are just athletic phenoms now. Russell Westbrook's a little one in a million type player, though. I mean, his athleticism, he might be the most athletic guy in the league, period. That's a rare thing there. But it just happens to be that he's, a rare athletic phenom at the point guard spot, and you're playing with a rare 7-foot scorer, that could move to the 2-guard spot at times. Both those players are in unique positions because we've never seen anything like this before. Someone said, we've seen Dirk Nowitzki, who's 7 feet. Dirk Nowitzki is no offense, great player, Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer.
He's not Durant.
He's not Kevin Durant.
No.
I mean, that's a whole nother level right there. And again, Derrick Rose, as great and as explosive as he is, he's not as explosive as Russell Westbrook. No way.
No.
So again, I just think that it's a question worth bringing up because we've never seen that before. If I were to put you on the spot, if I'm Sam Presti and I'm the the GM in Oklahoma City, and Steve Kerr comes to you, running things over in Chicago, comes to you and says, hey, John Paxson, comes to you and says, hey, I want to entertain the trade, Derrick Rose for Russell Westbrook. Would you entertain the thought?
You'd have to entertain the thought. Anything that huge, you have to at least think about. Think about even from financial standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
If Oklahoma City feels like they'd be in the same position, like I feel like they would, but maybe that sparks your fan base. Maybe that means you sell more jerseys, you sell more tickets. It could be worth it on that side, but on Oklahoma's side, I'd consider it. I don't think I'd do it if I was OKC.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just it's fair. One of the reasons why it probably won't happen is also Derrick Rose from Chicago.
Right.
and I'm sure, fan base in Chicago, they may say that he hasn't done much the last 2 years, but they know that kid was an MVP, and they know how dominant he was. So, if he can come back healthy, they're going to be that much better. They can't get any worse, considering that they're already a playoff team with no pieces. So they're going to have to get better.
Yeah.
And let's face it, better for them means you've put yourself in the top two spots.
The three.
Yeah.
Even with Rose, I don't see them passing Indiana or Miami.
Well, I think the East is a lock. I mean, I think everybody knows that, Miami and Indiana are just the two best teams. And right now, I don't see Indiana beating Miami. That's just me. I think they have. They went out and got Bynum and got Evan Turner. They went out and made all these maneuvers in these trades to brought in Luis Scola in the offseason. They brought in all these guys with, make no mistake in mind, to combat the Miami Heat.
Yep.
And they've played Miami tough the last 2 years. But right now, I'm seeing what championships do and what teams that want to be champions do. The teams that want to be champions are trying to figure it out still.
Mm-hmm.
The teams that are champions already know, like San Antonio too. They're starting to put their foot down a little bit more on the gas.
Yep.
And when the playoffs come around, their foot's all the way to the floor, and they're going to be ready to play basketball. I don't know if Indiana – it seemed like Indiana peaked way too early, and then they made these trades.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if these trades benefited them at the end of the day.
I don't think that they did. They're slumping a bit, and some of the things towards the trade deadline could have been more desperation, just trying to – keep the team up, keep the team going. But I agree with you. It looks like they're kind of flattening out a bit.
Yeah. So look, folks, we're going to wrap up today's show. I told you it was an abbreviated show, an hour and a half today we were on. Again, want to thank former NFL player, NFL analyst Phillip Daniels. Did a great job coming on, helping Jesse and myself break down some free agency. Obviously, want to thank Jesse for coming on as well. He's coming on with me once a week. He'll be out, and we'll chop it up, find out his thoughts on some different topic matter in the world of sports. Remember, coming up tomorrow, NBA player Keon Dooling joins us. Also, boxing analyst Richard Quinones as well. Also, again, we're happy to say that we're working with Coca-Cola. They're sponsoring our literacy awareness event that we have coming up here in the Ashburn, Virginia. If you live in the greater Washington metropolitan area, please come on out for that. Show your support, help the kids from Child Help, which is a nonprofit agency for abused children. Great cause. So come on out, have a good time with us. We're going to have lots of different restaurants from Loudoun County coming out. So, all types of foods. Come on out. We're going to have some games as well, 3-point contests, all kinds of stuff. I don't think they want me in it because I'm emceeing, but I already said, it'd just be so easy to keep my own trophy. I mean, come on, man. Sports Journey, you look up on the mantle. Those trophies are mine. But anyway, we'll see if you can come on out. We'll have more information on sportsjourney.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Sports Journey. You can follow me on my own personal Twitter account at Lake Lewis and my own personal Facebook account at Lake Lewis Jr. And you can also follow Jesse on Twitter at Jesse White ESQ. Once again, Jesse White ESQ. So again, Jesse, good time, man. I mean, this is what we do. Good topic matter for today, and I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Lake.
All right, folks. So we'll wrap up today's show. We'll check you out tomorrow. You know my saying, spend time with family and friends. Leave everyone else alone. Have a good night, everyone.
That's a good pour. Frosty glass. Perfect amount of foam.
Thanks, Coach.
How's your Bloody Mary?
Spicy.
Wings?
Always fresh, never frozen.
All right. Who's the primary on Spider 2Z Snag?
It's the fullback out of the backfield. If he gets jammed, I'm heading the flanker on a curl route.
You're good.
I know.
Huddle up at Hooters. Why would you go anywhere else, man?
Attention if you have diabetes.
Hello, I'm Alan Thicke. As the father of a child with diabetes, it's important that I keep up to date with the latest in treatments and technology. That's why I'm happy to tell you about a breakthrough in diabetes care through CCS Medical. You don't need to stick your fingers anymore. This new meter allows you to test on your arm, so it's virtually pain-free. Plus, it uses gold test strips. Real laser-etched gold in every strip provides the ideal testing surface for one of the most accurate readings possible. Best of all, CCS Medical can send you this meter at no cost. With CCS Medical, they deliver your diabetes supplies to your home. They work with Medicare or your insurance to process the paperwork. They even have nurses certified in diabetes available to answer questions. And for a limited time, CCS Medical will also send you a diabetes ID bracelet. All this from a company trusted and recommended by thousands of doctors around the country. Call CCS Medical today.
Want clear skin all over? Well, get set, because Proactive's Deep Cleansing Body Wash is back. And so is free shipping. 2 hot summer deals. Now Proactive clears acne on your face and body, so you feel confident all over. And the body wash is yours free when you order Proactive today.
The Deep Cleansing Wash, it really exfoliates the skin. I use that on my arms, my legs, my chest.
My skin was smoother. It got rid of the small little bumps on my shoulders and back.
Proactive has a $40 value, but with today's special offer, pay just $19.95 and your shipping is free. Plus, get the Deep Cleansing Wash free to polish your skin to perfection.
I went out and bought a little spaghetti strap dress, and it was a really amazing feeling.
Act fast, and we'll add a free travel-size green tea moisturizer. Don't wait. Order Proactive today and get free shipping, but only for a limited time.
Dear Bowflex, I dropped 8 dress sizes, 36 pounds, and all I had to do was walk.
This is the Bowflex Tread Climber Machine, the easiest way to walk and burn up to twice the calories in less time. By combining the motion of a treadmill, a stepper, and an elliptical, you get the calorie-burning benefits of all 3 workouts at once.
I lost 30 pounds in 4 months. If I can do it, anyone can do it.
Call now for your free DVD and information kit. You'll see how the Tread Climber burns up to twice the calories of a treadmill. Plus, you'll learn how you can own a Tread Climber machine today with special financing for 18 months.
Within the first couple of weeks, I started to lose inches. I lost 50 pounds in 3 months using the Tread Climber.
Call or go online to buytc.com for your free info kit. We'll also send you the Bowflex Insider's Guide with a personal fitness assessment to help you jumpstart your